It's been stated that this policy was changed to allow them to do what they did recently with all these people whose sentence they commuted. Well, it's been stated a couple of times this policy needs to be changed back. I strongly believe that. It's also been stated that these are some good people. I heard by people that I respect a lot, these are really good people. But you can disagree with some good people. In this case, what they did, and many of these decisions they made, I really disagree with. And I'm going to be voting no on these, not because I don't like the person, it's because of their judgment. How does one, no matter how good they are, no matter how great their judgment is, how does one bring themselves to let somebody that has been given a sentence that includes no parole? Okay, you're going to do these years and there's no getting out. And there's somebody in this state government that can override that? No. We shouldn't accept that. If they get that sentence, they should serve that sentence. And I guess what really troubled me earlier in the week when I read the case of two of these individuals convicted of murder, that at the hearing, they apologized for doing the crime. Okay, so they admitted that they did the crime. So do the time. If you want to do good, do it within the prison sentence, the walls of the prison. Help some other people. Maybe help some people who are getting out and tell them, I may not get out, but let me help you. And, if you get out, hopefully you can make the most of the time that you have while you're outside these prison walls. So, yeah, I'm going to vote no. And I'm going to vote no because it's time that we take a stand. When is somebody going to stand up for victims' rights? Really? We help people who commit crimes come back out here, but who's going to stand up for the victims? Well, today is the day that I plan to take the stand. I'm voting no. I know some of these people personally, and I'm voting no because somebody has to represent the victims in this state. I don't think the average person have a clue of what they go through. Never mind they haven't lost a loved one, because we have here 44 murders that were released. Really? And Representative Howard actually spoke about some of the other. And I mean, after hearing the list that he shared with us, I think we should all be concerned. The victims. We need to stand up for victims. It's time. And today is going to be my day to say, even good people who's supposed to have good judgment, great judgment, when they decide to do things like this, we need to say no. It's time to say no. Victims' families, besides losing loved ones, they go through meeting with, victims advocates, talk about what kind of sentence they would like to see the person get. You go through this whole process where the family actually has to deal with, raw emotions of losing a loved one, and then deal with the judicial system and what it can provide or not provide. And what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, representatives, is justice versus the law. And we're to the point where there's no justice, and they're changing the law to add insult to injury. I've had enough. It's time that we actually address this. Today should be that day. Even in the process that the victims' advocates come and speaks to the family, they take all your information and they say that, well, through the process, we'll stay in touch with you. And I could tell you in the case of my parents that lost a son, yeah. So the victim advocate's going to keep them aware of this. So the murderer serves X amount of time, and guess what? My mother and father die. Who are they going to contact? What? They're going to let them go early? Well, let's see. Let's find the parents of this person. Oh, they're deceased. What's their input on this now? Well, kind of hard to give input when they're not here. And siblings have moved out of state. How can you contact people who aren't even here in the state anymore? But to do this with disregard to the victim's family is not right. And these may be good people that supposedly have great judgment, but what they decided here in these many cases doesn't seem like they're exercising great judgment to the families that are out there who thought that this murderer was going to be behind jail forever. They had it undone. Do you know how it makes those people out there feel? And there's another aspect to this that we need to think about. The law. When you release murderers, okay, there's an element out there in society that is into street law. Okay, so you shoot this person, guess what? I'm going to retaliate. You know why I'm going to retaliate? Because if you go to prison after killing my brother, guess what? You may not do your time. So why am I going to let the judicial system apply some measure of law that people that are on these kind of boards can undo? So by doing things like this, you're just ramping up the street law violence. They will not believe in the laws we have on the books because we do these kinds of things. We release 44 murders. So what confidence does these people have on the law we have in place? So can you blame some people for taking matters in their own hand? Well, what separates us from just the craziness out there is that we follow the law. But if we can't count on the law, then what's going to happen here? Violence has really ramped up a lot lately. I know that even in my city of Waterbury, in the last 8 years, shootings have just increased by a great deal. And it's gotten to the point where the streets, this used to happen in certain areas that if you don't travel to, you just don't have to worry about. Well, now it's to the point where the streets that I take to go to work, there's shootings. The streets that I go to church, there's shootings. I mean, we need to send a message that we're not going to stand for it and to let people off for murdering people to commute like 20, 30, 40 years off their sentence. We're sending the wrong message. Good people, great judgment. I'm sorry. I'm voting no. And we need to look at more victims' rights. Somebody in the state needs to stand up for victims, people who have lost loved ones. I guess I'd just like to finish just saying that I've seen the way the laws have changed here in the state, and I was hoping that things would change somewhat for the better, but it hasn't. I just know it's incumbent upon us, and no board operating independent from us, to address this. And even though these good people did not get involved in the policy change, as I've heard here today, still, if they're willing to undo a sentence of no parole, I'm sorry, that's not good judgment. That's not great judgment. And I'm voting no. And I hope that we take a long look at the whole judicial system, whether it's enforcement, everybody who works in the court system, judges, prosecutors, defenders, because some people have been exonerated. DNA has freed some people, and that's great. That's not the case here. These people did the crime. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just hope that we do not tolerate this anymore. Somebody has to say, we've had enough. We need to say, we've had enough. Every time you see a murder out there, okay, just think of those families that have to, live knowing that the people who killed your loved ones is out here, and we're trying to find housing for them, provide jobs to them, make sure they have health care after they murdered somebody's loved one. I'm sure the victims out there feel really good about that. So today I'm standing up for victims' rights. I hope that people join in that endeavor, because you don't want it to be your family that has to endure this. And, accidents happen. You could be in the wrong place at the wrong time. People are shooting. How many times do these people shoot innocent people while they're trying to shoot somebody else? Their aim sometimes are really off. So you could be minding your own business and be a victim in this manner, only to have to go through this process. We need to stand up for law-abiding people, okay? And those who become victims, we have to do right by them. The law that's on the books in the sentencing to these people need to be adhered to and not circumvented. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Butler.